So what's up, people? It's time to get started. It's Monday morning here on lichess, International Master Sparkle Horse slash Sladgie. We are playing blitz and rapid chess, usually on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. I'm accepting challenges between 5+3 and 7+3 with casual rated. So, in other words, not rated, casually rated, casually unrated. Where is this basketball coming from? Master of changing topics. All right, Arsenal fans started talking about basketball randomly. That's kind of weird. Anyway, I like basketball, but I can't keep up with it. All right, troll on a roll. It's casual 5+5 chess 960. First challenge for today. Looking at my correspondence games for some reason. We've got troll on a roll 5+5 chess 960. I'm a Celtics fan. I'm not really an anything fan. I mean, I loved basketball when I was a kid, but you know, moving I don't know. I kind of grew away from basketball. I don't really follow it. The season's too long. It's like too many teams. The season's too long. It's too confusing. I like to watch basketball occasionally, but actually I liked playing basketball when I was a kid. But yeah, it's just too hard to keep up with. It's like a professional full-time job. You suck at basketball in the UK. I was aware of that. It's kind of like chess. No, I'm just kidding. You do have David Howe and some good players coming up. All right, now just a bad joke about English chess. You guys have a lot of good players. We just import our players, or at least Sinkfield does. Actually, I live in Hungary, so I guess I don't even count as an American anymore. We're streaming here, and we're going to be taking challenges anything between 5+3 and 7+3. But I was watching, let's see, chess-wise, Tata's over. Carlsen wins the tiebreak. No surprise there. Gibraltar's going on. It's an open tournament. It's kind of fun to watch, but I consider it like a luxury tournament. It's like a Yuppie chess tournament. Actually, I found out that the reason like so many Hungarian women are playing is because the Hungarian Chess Federation actually pays for them to go. I just kind of assumed that they were paying their own way, but it's nice when the Chess Federation pays for you to play in tournaments. All right, so troll and a roll VFAT and Koto Matsukami played in my simul last night. I actually got to sleep last night. I usually have problems sleeping after the simul. It's like my brain is sort of calculating or something for a few hours after I do a simul on here, and usually I have trouble going to sleep. But last night was cool. For some reason, I played really well in the simul, pretty well in the simul last night here on lichess, and I could sleep afterwards, which was good. The UK, can just draft players from the US. I was just joking. Arsenal fans said they suck at basketball in England, and I was saying, oh yeah, it's kind of like chess. But, you know, the Americans have billionaire Rex Sinkfield to just, like, you know, bring in, like, foreign players to become American. You guys don't have a patron like that, of that magnitude. So we're playing a symmetrical English. I'm just kidding. I mean, it's chess 960, guys. If you're not awake yet, like me, you might think this is still real chess. But look at the back rank. It's chess 960. I'm just crossing my fingers that these guys that organized a GM tournament here in Budapest don't like miss a player, and I have to go play in some crazy GM tournament. I thought like my team captain was kidding me yesterday when he was like, yeah, I'm serious, like if there's enough players, not enough, if one of the players doesn't show up, you're gonna have to play. I was like, man, come on now. I have to work, and I'm not prepared to play in a GM tournament. I wasn't prepared for the last one. I lost 4 games. That was good for the old ELO rating. Who is that? Nefedov? Oh, Arsenal fan. We both missed advantages in our game. Arsenal fan. I think I can probably remember it if I try. I was just looking at a couple of my games. I lost to Camel Culture because I accidentally messed up the move order in the opening, but that's not the only reason I lost. But I lost my advantage in a line that I actually like to play, and then by accidentally playing the wrong move, and then I didn't solve the problems in the position. But against you, Arsenal fan, now, I remember, you had an advantage. I mean, you missed the chance to get an advantage. Well, I mean, you played this move c5, and I didn't really spend enough time on it, you know. I thought, okay, it's just a normal move, no big deal. And then you interposed this in-between capture on d4 that I totally didn't think about, that messed up my pawn structure. A surprising move that I didn't calculate, and after that, I thought it was kind of unclear, but my structure was really destroyed. I didn't like that. Okay, guys, I'm still waking up here. Have my coffee, but I feel like I need 2 or 3 coffees. Every time I'm trying to play the Sicilian defense, knight takes e5, followed by bishop a6, wins a clear pawn. Seafood pizza. What was it? Frutal de mare. I don't think they do that in the United States. You know, I was kind of disgusted when I came to Hungary, and I guess, you know, it's a thing all over Europe, but I was kind of, I like seafood and I like pizza, but I don't like them together, and I, you know, don't even like anchovies on pizza. So I was kind of disgusted when I found out that, you know, here in Budapest, and I guess in other European countries, they have this kind of pizza. You can put anything on pizza, but not my style, man. I'm from southern New Jersey originally. There's a very, very large Italian influence, and we didn't normally do seafood on pizza. All right, here we go. Troll and a roll gonna lose on time here on move 5. Yeah, I think that, you know, seafood pizza consisting of seafood from conserves or, you know, canned seafood is not really ideal as well. Okay, we're getting off topic here. I think that Arsenal fan must be hungry or something. Troll is meanwhile losing on time. This is kind of an exhibition game. What's up, Troll? Anyway, it was a good simul yesterday. I was sorry for the miscalculation against you, Rich, because I liked my opening. It's a pretty standard position, actually. When I'm never quite sure what I'm supposed to do, though. I wasn't happy to give you my bishop on f4, really. But I was thinking a long time about retreating my bishop on knight h5, because your knight on h5 is actually really misplaced. It turns into a line that Karpov played sometimes in the Queen's Indian, I guess. It's a cross between Queen's Indian and Catalan. It almost feels like you got away with something, like you shouldn't be able to even get that with that bad move order in the closed Catalan. It's like you didn't have to play c6 right away. You chose to play c6, right? And then you played c5. That also doesn't make a lot of sense. So I felt like I made a mistake and let you get away with something in our game. I'm just discussing my simul game from yesterday with Arsenal fan. I played 18 boards. We had resignation and a person drop out before the simul even started. I wanted to play 20 boards. We ended up with basically 18 games. Whole hog here. F5. I want my pieces to work. Screwed the pawn structure. Well, I think I do really think about all the games pretty deeply. That's why I use quite a bit of time. And that's why after the simuls usually I have trouble like resting, because my brain is kind of, I can't imagine doing like, you know, Gareyev's blindfold simuls or something like that, man. I mean, that must be incredibly taxing to play blindfold simuls. Now we're both going to lose on time. Okay, the A8 knight has to get into the game, but what's the best? What's the best here? I kind of wish I had my bishop over here on D7 and my other bishop on G7, and we could have a normal Sicilian. Coordination not great with the bishop on D8, knight on C7, but on B6 I don't like the knight as well. I can play knight E6 here maybe. Then he can play E3 and kind of cross the plans, so you know, in retrospect, maybe it's better to go bishop E6 and slide it back to D7. Yeah. I mean, I was going to castle, but now I don't know. He also has possibilities of breaking with E5 to undermine my C5 pawn Spassky style. And B6 I can't afford to play, so we're in a bit of a situation here. Still, I feel like black should be fine, but maybe bishop F7 was a serious mistake. Of course, if I play bishop E6, I'm losing a tempo now. All right, I guess it's better just to admit you made a mistake and just lose a move than to continue down the wrong path. He can play E5, but I'll ignore it and play like bishop D7. Uh-oh. Now I can castle kingside maybe. He's threatening D4, it looks like that, and that tempo really hurts me. So knight D4, knight takes D4, pawn takes D4. We can't support the pawn. Well, I'm just in a bad way now. I mean, I basically lost the tempo, and it's crushing me. I made one mistake. At least one mistake. This looks really, really bad. But if I lose my A pawn, I guess that's not the end of the world. We've also got some play along the C file. Yeah, I shouldn't be worried about this. But wasting a massive tempo, his pieces are excellently coordinated. The only question is his king position along the C file. No, that's not happening. Very, very big tempo loss by me. Just lose on time already. Troll, you don't play any rated games? Your rating never changes. You're always 1666. I think he has another secret account. Juice box wizard. What am I supposed to do now? Does anybody know? Took back with a pawn. It is a great game here. He's played tremendously. I'm gonna like lose on time. He loses on time. My last move was very important not to make a bad move there. It looks like he's winning anyway. He has e6. I thought he played very well. Peter says he made one mistake. He's just winning in the final position. Though it wasn't that easy to see with no time left. Somewhere I lost the tempo here. Well, it's pretty obvious that I lost the tempo. This move was stupid. Having said that, the computer's like, now look at the thing. It's like bishop e6. So that's what I'm talking about. It's not an easy move to find, bishop e6, because you're looking at it like an English opening. You're saying, oh, well, if I play bishop e6, he can sit a knight on d5, and then I can't take it because there's a pawn fork. You have to actually appreciate that your bishop needs to go back here probably to d7. And it took me too long to realize that concept, how important it was to kind of protect this white squares on e6 and c6. But I thought that Troll played excellently. Yeah, I'm not really playing a lot of chess 960, so the engine here likes e5 for me, which I didn't even consider this move. I mean, this looks kind of crazy. That's a really anti-positional sort of move. I'm going to take with the queen on e5, giving myself a funky pawn structure, just to activate the pieces. But the queen is so powerfully placed here and difficult to drive away. Apparently that's advantageous to black. Didn't even enter my mind. Okay, so we will take anybody who's a subscriber first. Hey, what's up, Zenchess? Thanks for subscribing. You just sub now? I didn't catch it. Or did you sub like just recently? Not during the stream? Troll is a talented player, and he's stronger than you think. He just loses all his games on time, but he's got a really solid basis. Not really tactically, but positionally and strategically. He really plays correctly, and if you let him, I mean, he'll kill you basically. He's slow and he doesn't calculate that much. He's lazy by admission, but yeah, I subbed. I don't know why it doesn't show it. It does show it. Oh, you mean you don't know that it? You don't know why it didn't show that you subbing? It definitely shows that you're a subscriber, though. Anyway, long time no see. I think this coffee's making me a little hyper or something. I've got a challenge from Juicebox Wizard. Juicebox Wizard is a sub. I'm gonna take that first, and then go to the other challenges. You guys, if you want, I didn't mean to click on your profile. Sorry. Unwanted attention. But if I can click on challenges, I think I've got some really wicked lag here. What's going on? Stream is fine. Let me check. That's weird. I've got a pretty good internet connection usually. I can't figure out why I have really bad lag. Very, very rare for me. Where's the lag? Yeah, I've got this massive lag. 248 lag wave. Whoa. That never happens. Usually around like 70 or under 100. Sometimes even lower than that. So it's making it a little difficult for me. Wow. Why do I have this lag? It looks like nothing that I'm running on my machine. It's just internet connection. You know, you're the reason that I'm hyper. No, I think I drank too much coffee. Alright. Tuna 5. Juice box. Let's play this challenge. Just, you can feel the lag when you watch the animation of the pieces, I think. I prefer knight h6. Juicebox Wizard played knight a3 against me. It's not Weird Wednesday, Juicebox Wizard, it's Monday. Alright, silence. Please, God, don't let the chess organizer call me and tell me they want me to play in a GM tournament. They're going to pay me. They better pay me if they do, because I'm not playing if they don't give me some money to offset my lost wages. Yeah, okay. I've seen people do this. It's sort of an opening. I don't have any interest in that knight, especially when they're taking, like, you know, with the queen. Queen a5 check, queen takes a6. If I play knight f3, d5, like knight c3, bishop g4, it almost looks okay. I would think a Fantasy Caro-Kann type of setup / Peertz sort of thing makes sense. It appears I've walked into some kind of tricky opening that's been specially prepared. If I take queen a5 check and queen takes e5, alright, very well. It's not like I'm winning a pawn or something. There's not going to be any GM norms in my current condition. I really, you know, I'm like teaching chess full time. I'm not prepared to, it's totally different than playing. I mean, it may not hurt my game, learning from my, you know, people that I teach and stuff like that, but it's not the same as, playing full time. And not to say it's not possible. I could make a GM norm if I got lucky and I really played great in one moment, but the likelihood is very low. Juicebox Wizard is 1400. I've got really, really bad lag. This opening, it almost looks good for black. It almost looks good. But I guess I can play f4. I almost have to. There's a case to be made for taking on a6. But in principle, I mean, I'm not really excited about taking an a6 knight with a bishop that has a lot of potential. I don't know, Juicebox is kind of blitzing. We're playing bullet chess. Now it looks like a weird check defense, and I think that white is probably better. Okay, it's not really the check defense unless he plays d6 and c6. Anyway, Arsenal fan, we'll see you later. No, I'm just being realistic, man. I mean, I think I could be a GM and I could make GM norms, but I know that my condition isn't great and my self-confidence is not great, you know, coming off my last tournament, which was really a disaster. I think the self-confidence builds, but not playing very much, man. I mean, you take a player like me, I used to play 100 games a year, you know, and now I'm probably playing less than 50. In my prime, I played more than 100 games a year. And I think that was a lot to do with my successes. Playing like less than half what I used to play has had a negative effect on my play. Plus the fact that I'm older. Just because I'm involved in chess doesn't mean, you know, I'm in shape to like make a GM norm or something. Juicebox Wizard, why is he like playing bullet chess against me here? I'm playing well too. This is really dynamic, but I think I need to take this. Now I can play like bishop b4. I need to play more, you know, if I'm going to be in any kind of condition to improve. Right now, I guess I played about 50 games last year, which is, again, like half as much as I would like to play. Twice as much or more if, you know, the biggest problem is that I'm getting into this ridiculous time pressure, and I think it's partly because of playing with increment and becoming addicted to increment and getting in time pressure here, doing streams and stuff, and the other part is just not playing enough tournament games. So if I play more, if I could play more and you know, really work on avoiding time pressure, I think that would be really good. But I've got like Juicebox Wizard here, moving instantly. Now he's thinking. It's a little tough to castle kingside. Queen e2 check, followed by bishop e3. It's almost like I mean, I have a lot of moves. Even knight d4. But that's sort of anti-developing. I was even looking at bishop e3, but that doesn't work. Queen e2 check. You try to castle. Maybe I should even play bishop d2 rather than bishop e3. Just to keep c3 protected and play against his queen. Bishop e3 doesn't threaten anything. Seems to kind of waste time. Bishop d2, we have at least some threats. But I don't know, Juicebox Wizard is a very interesting player. Last time against me with knight a3, he had an interesting game. Well, you guys have to appreciate when you play with increment, it's not about losing on time. It's about, you know, the danger isn't actually losing on time. The danger is having so little time that you start to make mistakes. I think that's the real question. Now, bishop f5, like he wants to castle queenside. It's unlikely I would actually lose on time. No brain, no pain. Yeah, I don't know why I'm thinking so long on this. I'd like to eliminate one of those bishops. It actually has really interesting play. This is curious and amazing. He's coming up with amazing developing moves very, very quickly. I mean, he seems much stronger than 1400. I don't know. I could easily lose this position. He doesn't have many games at all, though. So maybe he has a Smurf account. I don't know, but Juicebox Wizard has like 100 games altogether. I mean, it looks like a little more than 100. My problem isn't losing on time. My problem is being on so low time that I start to make mistakes. And I'm not as concerned about that here, but against Grandmasters and International Masters with perfect technique, that starts to become a real problem. That's how I lost 3 games in my last tournament. Around move 35, being in time pressure, and I end up like dropping a pawn or messing up like a drawn ending or something like that. If I had enough time, I wouldn't do it. I've got to be more practical in my long games, especially with the clock. This actually looks like the wrong move. I liked queen b6 a lot for black here. I think after queen b6, I'm actually concerned that black has too much activity. You know, he really has a lot of activity. But here, bishop e4 seems wrong. I have knight d6 check. I'm not even sure if this is the best move. You know, c3 might also be playable. What is going on around here? I don't know what to do. I mean, if I wanted a castle, I'm going to drop my a2 pawn. If I take on f5, he has like rook e8. I'm going to lose to this guy. It looks like. Here I can take on b4 if he does an intermediate exchange. I think he's playing a little too much, a little too fast. But Juicebox Wizard has a lot of potential. Just playing a bit too fast. The creativity is excellent. This game, I think that black might have been better at some moment. You know, I really, for the amount of time that I used, I didn't find This is an insane idea. Okay, f3 may not be great. You know, that's... But e5 is an amazing concept. I really thought you're going to play queen a5 check here. And on this... here I thought I was clearly better. But after knight f3 d5 I wasn't that sure. This is an amazing move. I mean, this looks trivial maybe, but I don't think it's trivial. You know, white could easily fall behind in development here. The computer is like, oh, plus 1.5. Yeah, that's if you play perfect moves and you see like a computer, but there are a lot of pitfalls here with my king still in the center. I could easily have messed this up. Queen e2 check already like looks like a significant mistake. And then this move is okay. But bishop f5 was another move that's really dangerous. I'm supposed to take on c6 here, apparently. That looks... I mean, taking on c6 looks crazy. You know, he's threatening like knight to b4. That's the variation the computer wants me to play. Here, allowing knight b4, and white's 3 points better. Now it's losing its... Look how the advantage is like dropping. So, it looks like I was never lost, but here he has really good chances with this move, knight b4. And I liked queen b6. This computer still doesn't believe in your position. All right. No, nice creative try, but I would, I don't know. I would say that it was a little unsound, but for the time control, I think it's reasonable. I wouldn't recommend playing this way in a long game. People have too much time to find a refutation. But if you play like this in blitz or rapid chess, I think it's absolutely okay. You just have to be, more accurate, I guess. Okay, so Zen Chess just subscribed. We're going to take the challenge from him. I've had a lot of challengers. In the simul, I had like tons of people trying to enter the simul last night. It seems like there's more and more players on lichess in general. So Zen Chess, good to see you. We haven't played in a long time. He's a strong player, 21 something, 2080 in bullet, 2000 blitz. Seems like blitz should be a little higher. Maybe you're berserking a lot. D takes c6 was in the castles line. That was a nice unorthodox try though, man. Yeah, I agree with Zen Chess. If I make one mistake, I'm a little careless there, I could actually lose. So that's why I was using all my time. I forgot Zen Chess plays the Grand Prix attack. We haven't had one of these in a while because the other guy who plays this line against me, Mule Skinner, hasn't been on the stream much. So both you and Zen Chess, Mule Skinner and Zen Chess haven't been around. I haven't been tested lately, but we did have tons of games last year in this variation. Playing on ICC. Well, the Internet Chess Club still has some strong players that are just like addicted to playing on there. They can't, the older players who can adapt, change chess sites that they play on. Okay, bishop b5. Yeah, I mean, we've played this a bazillion times, so. I've been seeing castles from Zen Chess and Mule Skinner, but I mean, when I used to encounter this, the main line was knight takes knight, pawn takes knight, and like knight e2. Maybe this is better than that though, honestly. It's more dynamic to develop a piece. I haven't talked about this in a long time because we haven't faced it, but Jinji really recommended this variation in his video series like 20 years ago, and And Eugene Perelstein, his student, has been playing it forever. But Roman always discussed that we said that d5 was the best move, but I don't think it's good. Zen Chess knows this, but I'm saying this for the benefit of the other players. We played a bunch of games with Zen Chess and Mule Skinner, and I feel like it's better for black not to go into d5. And I'm trying to be experimental with not castling too early. Yeah, the thing about the 5-minute pool over there, that is the only good thing about ICC, probably. But you have to be a relatively strong player to benefit from that. You really have to be, 2000-ish to be able to play these title players in 5-minute chess. Yeah, that's the 5-minute pool over there was one of the only thing I liked about the site, really. All right, so my last, wonder if d6 is even necessary. Maybe that's a new idea, like not even playing d6, just playing a6 and b5 right away. I used to try to not chase the knight on b5, thinking that I'm just helping it get back to the center. But now well, we can just trying to think of this as like a modern defense or something. I try to play, use these games to hone the opening and play perfectly. That's the other reason why I use all my time. It's not a tragedy if we lose one of these games, but I treat them as like training games, So I'm basically trying to find the best possible moves, So I often use all my time here. This is not something I should do in my tournament games, though. What does on queen b6 of a6 instead of a6? I think he can just go, well, with any number of moves. Knight a3. Knight a3, even knight a3, troll. Knight a3, knight c3, or a4, or c4. Any of the above. I don't think queen b6 is really good. Yeah. One of the benefits of my position is obviously the bishop pair. The other thing is the flexibility in castling that I have. I can castle queenside, castle kingside, or not castle at all. Depending. You could argue that white's king is technically safer, maybe. Here I'm not sure what to do now. This is usually what I've done in the past. Put the queen on d7, play a little like a hippopotamus. Keep the option to castle queenside. Even c4 might be a move, but I'm not that well developed here. Obviously, f5 is thematic. Improving his bishop on c1, which often becomes a bad piece if you don't play f5, and creating some attacking chances down the f file. This is pretty much standard, I would say. Taking puts his knight on f5, and it's just too dominant. Knight f6 looks like the most normal move. But it blocks my bishop, What am I going to do though? H5 is very weakening. E6 is very weakening. Knight H6 is on the side of the board where it's awkward. I think we almost have to play this move. If he chooses to do something crazy like G4, that's okay, because if he plays G5, I'll just stick my knight on H5 where it's unassailable. Well, Zen Chess is talking about C4. It's just a move. I mean, it's not a big deal. I've related my experience playing white in this line once, or a similar line once, where my opponent castled queenside. I felt like I had no clue what to do when I was once in the tournament game with the white side of the Grand Prix and my opponent castled queenside. I'm like, okay, well, I'll just open lines on the queenside, but it's not, the white position isn't really geared for attacking queenside in any kind of closed Sicilian. Yes, you can try to do B4, but it was kind of awkward. E6, E5. The routine move is castle kingside, but I'm castling into an attack if I do that. So we'll just try something kind of creative here. Rook G8. I try to use the G file against the white king while leaving my king in the center, or maybe castling queenside if the opportunity arises. This is very experimental, but the whole setup is experimental in nature. But if you want to play a dynamic game, I think that, intentionally castling opposite sides or not castling is one of the best ways to generate, an imbalanced dynamic position. Creating imbalances. One of the easiest ways to create imbalance: castling opposite sides, not castling, trying to exploit the opponent's commitment to castling on one side relatively early, as Zen Chess did here. Maybe I should play bishop h6, to be perfectly honest. I mean, what is my bishop actually doing on g7? No, well, fine. Take toward the center. This is the Joker. It's very strong defensively and offensively. Any kind of endgame is going to be good for me with the two bishops. Almost any kind of endgame. Now, B2 is unprotected. Obviously, I'm not castling kingside. Knight h5? Anybody? This knight coming in here. I'm getting too low on time now. Knight d5 is a problem. e6 isn't that good. Okay, this is probably a bad move. I don't like going to the side of the board with the knight on h5, but I was about to lose on time. Very solid play by white, actually. The solid Grand Prix attack. Pawn is a pawn, I guess. He has compensation, I suppose. My king is not really that safe, etc., etc. But we have one pawn island, and the base at e7 can be even protected with rook a7 if I have to. His structure is not as sound. Okay, his pieces are well coordinated. He has pressure down the two files, but I don't know. You know, maybe the material is just as important. He's going to have to play c4 at some point to protect his pawn on d5. Well, he doesn't have g4. That's good. No, he has it, but it loses a pawn with check. I would have preferred to have castled, I guess, queenside. That's all right. What's next? What's this? Just defending your pawn? Okay, I mean, he has all this pressure. Now it's probably lost. But I think he's a little rusty. But I think until the end it was good compensation. You definitely have good compensation here. So I don't know. I would just evaluate this position as unclear. Compensation for material. Computer recommends bishop g5 here. Something like that. But it's very risky how I played, you know. But okay, we need to do that to try to win. If you want to win with black, you have to take risks for sure. Okay, thanks for the game, Zen Chess. Yeah, I think at some point it would be better to play c4. You know, here you had to try maybe a4, you know, I don't know. Mule Skinner's here. Wow, that's weird. I'm going to just skip you other challengers as long as there's subscribers, but there aren't that many, so you guys will get to play. The first several challengers are definitely going to get to play. Just have to wait. Please wait. That's what it says when you like have a bye in a tournament. Alright, Mule Skinner unfortunately gets black, so he doesn't get to play his Grand Prix attack. But we were just talking about you, Mule Skinner. Zen Chess plays the same system in the Grand Prix attack. I guess you saw that. Mule Skinner. I don't feel like playing the French today. That last game was too hard. But the way I just played that with black is definitely non-standard. It's extremely risky. And don't try it at home without, you know, practicing that type of position, because I'm not castling. It's really, you know, I wouldn't go out and just play that in a tournament game necessarily. Okay, Mule Skinner, it's been a long time since we played a d4 game and the Benko. Benko, you know, it's always got some adherence, but for some reason it's never really like a super trendy opening at the top level. I'm not really sure, you know, why it's not more popular amongst like the top players. You occasionally see it, but it's kind of like never a trendy defense with the elite players in the world, and I'm not sure why. I mean, there's no particular variation that that is really putting it in a cloud. I mean, I don't know why the Benko is not more popular than it is. Okay, so Mule Skinner just plays d6. There are many different ways to play this for black. Damn those subscribers. But I really appreciate you guys who subscribe and help to support the stream. It's essential to help me keep this going. We've also had some donations. Alright, knight bd7. Just not really finding a comfortable position to sit in. Mule Skinner is around 1900s lichess, but he can play quite well. I think another player though who has a tendency to be maybe rusty at times if he hasn't played much. I don't think there's anything I can really do to exploit his move order. Usually players are recapturing this pawn a little bit faster. You can play a4, forcing him to recapture the pawn. But I find that oftentimes like kind of weakens white along the b file. So I'm generally speaking not in a rush to do that. Now, many of you may know that, like, the main variations of the Benko, like white takes the pawn and tries to keep it, but I'm not really a materialistic style player, first of all, and I never really enjoyed playing the white side of the Benko where I try to keep the pawn. I did it once in my life, ever, against a Latvian grandmaster. What was his name? But anyway, it didn't. You know, it was the typical kind of unpleasant experience where you take a pawn, you lose the initiative, the other guy knows 20 moves of theory, and then you lose like an unpleasant endgame or something. It went exactly like the way that I always dreamed it would. And I never again tried to like keep the pawn in the Benko. I've had good results by declining it in different ways. So if we don't have any other subscribers, you know, I'll take the rest of the challenges that I've got. Just make sure that they're casual, between 5+3 and 7+3. Looks like everybody fits in the formula there. So queen takes b6. It's also possible to take with the knight. I don't know which one is better. I think if he does take with the knight, I probably do have to do the a4, a5 plan. Queen takes, knight fd2, queen there. You know, there's something about this move order that he sort of tricked me. Now I'm too slow to execute the plan that I wanted. I had this in a simul game once. Knight d2, queen c7, knight c4, knight b6, and I played knight e3. And black just has a good position. I needed to not castle probably. Castling was perhaps a mistake. So I guess I should play knight d2 here immediately. This is slightly more accurate than castling. The problem with that is then they do knight takes b6. So I don't know what the answer is. I mean, maybe the truth is that this variation, you know, can't promise white an advantage. But is there any sense in knight d2 now? Knight d2, queen c7, knight c4, knight b6 just equalizing, I think. So the reality is that I probably have to do this. And it makes my position kind of backward on the b file. In exchange for trying to control like a key square, like b6 or b5. This variation was... I said that very few top players play the Benko. In the past, there were a few that did. It seems to me that the Adams played the Benko for a while, and back in the late 90s, and Kasparov has played it on a few rare occasions, notably in one really nice game against Topalov. Shirov also played the Benko, but Shirov is now not, no longer in the top 10. Kasparov is retired from chess, and Adams is, Adams has become more conservative in his opening play, I think, in his senior stage, becoming a senior player. Mickey is Mickey is just a little older than me. He's playing like the English opening with white a lot, which I thought is weird for him. Certainly not playing the Benko with black. Adams is a guy who played the Benko and he played the Marshall Gambit all the time. Okay, rook b8. We're playing a5, I guess. Can we play knight d2? Doesn't make any sense here. I'm not sure if it makes a lot of sense anymore. But I've never really been certain of what white's plan is. The rook b8 might actually be a small mistake. I remember some variations where this rook should go to b8, the f rook rather than the a rook, because the a6 pawn becomes a target. So it's possible that Muleskinner's move is actually not the best. I'm not sure about, how relevant it is here, whether the queens are traded, though it should free black's position. In general, trading queens is probably good if you're black. Maybe I can try to avoid trading queens. don't see a particularly great way to do it. Queen d3 is interesting. But I think I should probably, let's see. I was gonna say take knight d2, but then he stations his rook on b4, and it is a little hard to get rid of it. Now maybe I should avoid the exchange of queens, but how? Queen d3, knight g4, heading for knight e5 looks aggravating. And there's nothing I can do to really prevent that. Though I can play a h3, he has other ways to unravel here. But I have knight d2. This stops him temporarily, but I can't stop everything. I'm not really sure what White's plan is, ultimately. Now he's threatening nothing. Immediate. Knight c4. I don't know, I'm just in time pressure and not sure what I'm supposed to do here. But his rook looks powerful on b4, so we'll just maybe try to shake the tree a little bit. I never heard anyone say that before, but it sounds kind of funny. But black should be basically at least equal here. After queen b3, I wanted to find a better move. Something to exploit the queen without trading queens. But I looked at queen e1, and I didn't like queen c2. And I looked at queen d2, and it looked artificial. Probably, I just had no opening advantage. I might even be slightly worse. Well, you get a chance to play, Tushar. Tushar, you're pretty low down on the list there, so I wouldn't guarantee it. I think it would be close. I have until 12:30, so I will be streaming for another hour and a half. But you're not in the top 3 or 4 for challenges. VFAT, Koto, Tuna, failure is an option. As long as these guys have like 100 games, and Nabil, you're actually 6th. Yeah, I mean, Tushar is going to be around the bubble, I would say. If we don't have any more subscribers come online and challenge me. So it's up to you, man. I mean, I don't know how much time you have, but I can't guarantee you'll get to play. I've got to take the challenges in the order I get them. You know, I'm not just like randomly choosing them. The people who I took are subscribers to my stream. I think on Friday maybe we'll do like more open challenges where I just accept all the challenges in order. Okay, bishop b7. Well, my pawn on e4 needs to be supported. So I don't have anything better than this, but it weakens my dark squares a lot. Looks logical. Good game so far. Black has the better pawn structure, theoretically. The Benoni Island, like in the Dragon. He's setting for knight b5 and knight d4. I'm not sure if this is sound or not. It looks rather strange to offer my bishop for a knight. But I wanted to neutralize one of his two very active pieces. Taking with the pawn to keep my active knight on a4 and open the b file. And f5 is a very logical and strong looking break. Possibly he's just better here. Okay, I'm about to lose on time. Looks like I'm just getting outplayed massively. That bishop is just too strong. Not sure if this is a good move, this h4, honestly. I'm slightly worse here, so I'm more than content to offer a draw or accept a draw by repetition. Black is better. I mean, you might have g5. Not in this position right away. I can take it, but actually even in this position right away. White should be slightly worse. Black, if he had more time, he could definitely play for a win here. So e6, it looks like. King f6, he can slowly improve the position. I don't know, maybe like Karyakin could hold this for white, but it's very unpleasant. This was an excellent game by Muleskinner. I'm more than happy to take a draw. And it's like instructive strategically. But probably he has better not trading like pieces too much on the f file. So when you played f5, this position, actually the computer doesn't think I'm worse here. That's unbelievable. I mean, this bishop is so strong. I don't know, the engine likes my space advantage on the queen side, but I just felt like black must be better here, because I can't see a way to make progress on the queen side. Look at this move like rook b2, or, okay, whatever. Good game, Muleskinner. We're going to play VFAT next, 5+3. Just losing? Well, I don't think that 0.7 advantage to black and to white to black in an endgame, according to Stockfish, is generally losing. That's almost usually a draw, almost always a draw, if you defend correctly. Losing is like -2 or -1.7 at least. right. VFAT we played once before. Plays A3. The Zamish variation of the Nimzo. Not a very flexible and trendy variation, but a lot of people still like it. It's playable for white. I think that black should have great chances to equalize at least. But Mule Skinner, good opening. Casting doubt on the whole variation for white. My move order was bad, but even if I play the correct move order, I'm not sure that that variation, if black handles it correctly, poses any problem for the Benko. In fact, to be perfectly honest, I was really, one of the many things I need to change probably is finding a new system against the Benko. But it's not like high up on my list of opening research priorities. Knight F3, not as common as F3. Like usually you see F3. Knight F3. I don't know what the best move order is. Knight C6. B6. Castles. D6. I'm not really sure. The end position was 0.7 advantage to black. That's right, knight sneaking. White has a big spatial wedge on the queen side, and the pawn on a6 has to be protected at all times. It's not that easy for black. But I would definitely prefer to be black. The computer would probably draw itself, but it wouldn't be the kind of position I'd really like to play. Okay, bishop e2, it's a little bit passive. I think here we do the standard plan of like bishop a6, knight a5, try to put pressure on the double pawn, Nimzovich blockade strategy. Now we can castle though, although it's not absolutely essential. A5 was a new move according to the lichess book, but also the Stockfish preferred move. But I think that I made a significant inaccuracy, like playing castles instead of knight d2. But anyway, I just don't think that it's a threatening problem, that variation. I don't know what the best line against the Benko is. Maybe some f3 variation, the accepted. Let's see, there's some e3 lines. There's many different systems. One of the hardest things about the Benko to play is the fact that white has literally like a dozen different variations they can play. I mean, so if you learn the Benko, you have to learn like tons and tons of lines. You have to face tons and tons of different interpretations for black. I don't know. Queen c2. Yeah, I don't know why I'm thinking so long here. I mean, oftentimes white's going to have to sacrifice this pawn, but if he chooses to play like that, in this particular position, he's going to be down, down tempi over some other lines. He could play more aggressively, sacrificing the pawn on c4. Knight sneaking, but it's a known. It is the like recommended plan for white to play a4, a5. I didn't invent it. I mean, researching that in the past, it's kind of like the only good way for white to play with the a4, a5, but I think I have a bad version somehow. Now just rook c8 looks good. Or queen c7 for that matter. But this is as classical Nimzovician strategy as you can get. Maybe I should have played d5. But you know, on d5 he can exchange on c5, and maybe that changes the pawn structure. I don't know. d5, d takes c, b takes c, and then something like queen a4. Maybe it's not that bad for white. Now, I don't know if I should play d5 right away or just exchange on d4 first. Undoubling his pawn seems... It seems almost silly. At the end of the day, I mean, bishop takes a4, knight takes a4, or bishop takes a4, bishop takes a4, d5, pawn takes pawn, pawn takes pawn. I mean, I guess he's just losing a pawn. But is he? Because he'll have queen a4 at the end of the day. It shouldn't really matter, should it? I mean, there's, like, I could take on a4. I mean, a5 takes c4 and then do the d5, but then he has, like, queen a4 and maybe my a7 pawn falls. I don't want the a7 pawn to fall for nothing. So we just do d5. I mean, this looks like the simplest approach. Looks like a wing gambit. It's a wing gambit close to Sicilian. It's basically the same structure. Yeah, my knight is pretty sad. You could play knight e4, I guess, and sack the pawn for positional advantage. I don't know. I thought forever thinking about knight e4, just trying to simplify the position. But I couldn't see anything really clear. This knight is really bad here, though. It's pretty much bad anywhere. On e8, it's possibly even worse. I think maybe it's not easy to say which way he should move his queen there. a4 was the other possibility. But this knight is really ill. I'm up a pawn, but I have a grotesque knight that needs to do the Slav maneuver. Knight b8, knight c6. It looks like a Slav. Or wing gambit, as I said. He has some compensation here. So I probably should have done something more active than knight d7. The knight e4 would have left me like giving the pawn back but having a really strong positional advantage, for example. Okay, I can always play b5 if I have to. Not crazy about that. here. I already looked at rook c1. That obviously doesn't work for several reasons. But now I just bring my king to the center. And if you found it simplified too much, this should be a winning position. Perhaps I should have maneuvered my knight first. I'm not sure. Maybe it's not so easy though. Maybe not. Not so easy. Although he had bishop d2. I could still probably, no, he had bishop d2, like preventing this incursion. I don't know, but still it may be hard for black to win with the extra pawn. Now we're threatening to invade here, but I have to watch the king side with like king f4. This exchange is definitely bad for white. There's no reason for him to give up like his dynamics over there so early. He seems to be playing for like a time when now these pawns are fixed on the wrong color on the king side. I also don't like that. I can shift my knight to somewhere like f5. I'll have to sack a pawn to break through, it looks like, with like b4. Whoa. He has a defense to that. Maybe he's got like perfect defense. Threatening knight c2. Very strange maneuvering by me, admittedly. But it worked. Alright, not easy to break it down. So Koto gets to play now 5+3. Yeah, I wouldn't want to play like against Kramnik with white there. Koto Koto, how is it that you have white 4 games in a row against me? How do you get white 4 games in a row? Are you like challenging me to play white or something? He's literally had white 3 games in a row, and now he gets white a 4th game in a row. He must be challenging me to play 5+3 with white or something. This is really strange. He only plays d4, c4, a3. Soltigo promised what? As he didn't get one for so many consequent days? Where is Soltigo? I didn't remember it being an issue, but yeah, Tushar will get to play. I wasn't so sure a little while ago, but I mean, if he's second on the list now, so. But Koto, do you only play with the white pieces every game, or like what's the deal there? Because I don't see how you could get randomly white 4 games in a row. You basically have to have requested to play white. I don't get it. That was not a great technical game by me. I mean, I should have gotten more out of it. I think putting my knight on d7 was actually way too passive and giving him really good drawing chances in the last game. Yeah, his opening was lame. Black should be clearly better. But he had very reasonable looking drawing chances there. Though I think he simplified maybe too much. I'm not even sure if I was winning. We could take on c3 in this position, doubling his pawns. It's certainly an option. Playing it like a Gingy Indian. We had Nimzo Indian last game, so. It's an unusual position where like his knight would normally be on like c2 and it's on f3 instead. But I thought it would be interesting anyway. It could just transpose. I mean, if he goes knight d4, it'll be like his knight was on c2 anyway, so there's a good chance that we transpose to a normal Rubinstein English. Now, as far as taking the pawn here, and I think it's kind of personal style. I don't know if I really prefer taking it. You know, I like the fact that it gets in the way of White's coordination. I guess you can take and put your queen on g7, but it's kind of an awkward sort of position. Is it better for White to play e4 or e3? You know? I mean, theoretically, maybe e4. But I'm trying to play dynamically today. We had the non-castling game against Zen chess, several bishop takes c3 type positions. We're creating imbalance in the pawn structure. And now here, again, it's very Nimzo-like. My queen on a5, though, may end up needing to retreat. Maybe I ought to just retreat it straight away. I mean, to be honest. Reset. Rinse, repeat. I don't know. I want to put pressure on the c4 pawn. I was thinking knight e5 sometimes, but more importantly, to set up a blockade over here. Not all that different from last game, but bishop a6, queen a4. You can even do, again, bishop a6, kind of like an instant replay of the last game. This is why I pulled the queen back from a5, so I could set up, you know, more cohesive, coordinated pressure on the c line. But I think he could have played like knight d4 more combatively. If knight d4 here, I can try to win the pawn, or I can avoid the exchange of knights, leaving him with temporarily a strong knight on d4. He can't do e4, f3 versus f5. Yeah, I mean, f5 is a normal idea too. Maybe f5 is better. There is a case to be made for f5 right away. I mean, you could play f5 on move 7 in this position, the Gingy Indian style move. Well, he can definitely play it as a gambit. I mean, he could play e4 as a pawn sacrifice even right away. Like f5, e4, pawn takes pawn, knight g5, something like that. But I don't know if it's sound. I don't like taking on c3 in that particular position. Sometimes I would, depending on the circumstances. But I mean, in this position, it's obviously just obstructing his bishop, obstructing his defense of c4. If you win one of those two pawns, I guess, you'd rather win the c4 pawn, leave him with a bad bishop on d2. If you take the pawn on c3, his bad bishop kind of becomes a good piece. Here again, I think the guiding principle is trade the bishop pair off. Much like a samish Nimzo. This position is just a clear pawn up with a better structure. Black is winning. If knight b5, I could take it, but maybe it's better to just play like queen c5 or something. Alright, this is an interesting intermezzo because I don't have d5. On queen, no, on rook c8 he has knight b5. It's not a big deal, I guess. We're going to hack it off and play with two knights against two bishops, which is fine in a fixed structure like this where I have lots of outpost squares for my knights. I could also even play queen b8 on knight b5, but I don't, you know, I'm not sure it's really good. Okay. Now he has e4 though. Not a big deal, but he's got a little bit of compensation activating his bishop there. Queen b8 or queen b8, knight a3. I mean, the only thing is that it gives him time. Here he has a4. No. Oftentimes the two knights are actually better than bishop and knight. These knights are just massive. But he's KG player. He's a KG player. This sacrifices a pawn? Or not? The second pawn. Just knight d6. He's 2 pawns down. It's not really enough. Bishop c3. He obviously wanted to create threats, but trading queens, and I take another pawn. It's 3 pawns. 3 pawns to the dollar. Alright guys, Tushar is up next. What's the exchange rate on pawns this week? Make sure that my c4 pawn is adequately protected here with like rook c6 maybe. But this is a bad move. I mean, I just wanted to play f6 anyway. Unified force. Yesterday I won a rook ending with 2 connected passed pawns. King, 2 pawns, and the rook need to work together basically. Okay, he's got an A pawn. That's kind of a wild card over there, but obviously the 2 connectors is just crushing. Now he's just totally freaked out. All right, next up, Tushar left. He was the next game and he left. Seriously? Dude, he was asking for like an hour to play and we said he was next and now he's gone. Unless Nabil was disappeared and came back and ahead of him, but from what I saw, Tushar should have been next. Anyway, Nefedov, what's up, man? Nefedov didn't challenge us. Actually, he's not online anymore. Just here, he just popped in and left. No one likes garlic. Well, I have a love-hate relationship with garlic, troll. What about you? Nobody likes friends who smell like garlic. All right. I like to hang it on the front door, like in the last what was it? Vincent Price, you know, The Last Man on Earth, or what was the name of having memory issues. Nabil Hassan plays. Okay, he's playing the French defense. Wonderful. I love the French defense. I keep the zombies away with it. The garlic. What is Nabil doing here? I'm getting Nabil confused with another player. That's why I was sort of surprised by the opening. Okay. Nabil is like from... What is wrong with my memory? Anyway, I can't remember anything today. Middle Eastern countries, names of people. It's just all gone through. Now knight g6 is just begging for h4. Alright, there it is. h5. You hate to have to do that, don't you? With black. And I can play a King's Indian type of attack here. You had a dream today about your garden and garlic in particular. Troll, do you like cooking or just gardening? D5. So I'd like to pick off that pawn on H5, but it's kind of, I'm not sure it's a realistic plan just yet. A little further down the line. Process of elimination. POE. Taking on D5 looks wrong. Knight G5 looks like it's just wrong because of F6. My E4 pawn. Maybe I'm too focused on this H5 pawn. If it falls, it falls, but I shouldn't be necessarily planning on trying to win it. What about my king position? Maybe I should just play bishop G2 and I guess I'm honestly concerned about bishop B4, putting pressure on the E4 point. I'm also concerned about playing E5 and overextending myself. I think that white has a good position, but the next move is not obvious to me. Like, this move is not an obvious decision. I guess you could take on D5, as much as I hate that move. You could even take back with the E pawn there. Bishop to B4. How are we going to meet that when he plays bishop B4? I think that's the million-dollar question. Queen E2 walks right into like B6. Although maybe Queen E2, Queen E3 wouldn't be such a bad plan. I don't know. I don't know. It's kind of a King's Indian attack. I really wasted 2 minutes on one move in a blitz game. But it's 5+3. It wasn't just about one move, though. I thought about a lot of ideas. I decided with Queen E2, we have possibilities to castle on either side. Now, Bishop D2 should be considered, in addition to Queen E3. Queen E3 is more or less just a defense to the threat of B6. Nabil is from Jordan. I just couldn't remember Jordan for some reason. It's not really in the news as much as a lot of other countries, I guess. Bishop D7. Well, now I don't have to do anything. I make a castle queenside or castle kingside. There's no more threat of bishop A6 as well. I don't know though. He's just fast. Do I accept challenges? Yeah, I mean, we're accepting challenges, but we're gonna have to go soon. I have to go in the. I have to leave in 35 minutes, so I'm only gonna play like 2 more games after this, probably. 7+3 and 7+3. I think those will be the 2. Actually, I got Tushar's back. Okay, he missed his challenge. He'll be next. I think it's safer to castle kingside, hands down. You know, like there's no reason why I have to go crazy and castle queenside here, especially with low time and well, I think of space advantage. You know, You should definitely, like, consciously take less risks when you have less time. Nabil playing a little randomly, I think, in this game. We definitely have an advantage now. I mean, I guess we always had an advantage, but it's becoming more apparent to me now. He traded his bishop on c3 without a lot of justification. He's given up the strong point in the center. Bishop d7 was a bad move. I like the b6 plan a lot more. Knight g5 almost feels like a cheapo. But it's also just a good square. I probably had better, but I'm down to 30 seconds. What is this? He's trying to castle queenside? Did I miss d5 last move? Well, I guess it's not that clear. On d5, he can play c takes d5, and my queen's attacked as well. Although now, it'd be significantly sharper. I still don't like d5. d5, pawn takes pawn. Oh. No, he's just losing. Just tried to play too fast. I mean, too much focus on the clock. Obviously d5 is really clear once he gives me bishop takes g7 with the fork. Been kind of hunting this pawn for a long time. But I think that Nabil most likely, you know, like a player who doesn't play with increment, you know, trying to play like it's 5-0. I also don't prefer increment, but I prefer it for the purposes of my stream. Black's pieces are discoordinated, he's down material, and his structure is bad. It's just lost. Okay, Tushar is back. We're going to play him, and then we'll see if we can play this game and at least one more. Yeah, that's why I played d5 finally. I thought it was unclear, you know, if I just like sacrifice the d pawn and win your a pawn, it's not that clear, but once I have that fork, I'm playing d5 for sure. But I think you have e5, maybe. Something like d, cd, queen e3. Oh, I guess I can just play bishop takes f6 right away. So on d5 you have to play like e5 immediately, it looks like. Tushar is 2200 in rapid based on 20 games. That's strong. The Rogozin variation, very popular in the last 5 years or so. I just like to play this line. It's pretty simple and safe for relatively safe for white, but I don't know that it's necessarily the best. Tushar is exchanging on c3 too quickly. Did we have this game already? Because looks kind of familiar to me. Thinking that maybe Tushar and I had already played this position, and I can't remember. I'm lucky if I remember my tournament games. Actually, where should I put my queen? This is another player who's playing extremely fast. I'm not really sure what the best is for me here. Maybe if I can play c takes d followed by bishop d3, we'll have some pressure on h7. A little like a queen's gambit. In any case, the queen on a4 is almost always badly placed, so you can pretty much always rely on retreating it back to c2 being a sensible move. Basically, you're sacrificing a tempo to force black to put their knight on c6, which is not the ideal, queen's gambit decline type of structure for black. But anyways, in the main lines, black has enough resources. Mamedyarov, Aronian, lots of strong players at the top playing this variation quite a bit in the last 5 years or so. Even going back further than that, actually. Okay, rook e8 looks like a really standard sort of move. Then I can decide what I want to do here. Pawn takes pawn, pawn takes pawn. Bishop d3 was my original plan. I don't know if it's best, but it's the most natural. So he's like 1900 in blitz, 1800 bullet, but stronger in rapid. Castles. We have very Nimzo-Indian. Well, you could argue it is a Nimzo-Indian, actually. I mean, after bishop takes c3, very Nimzo-Indian-like position. Bishop g4, I have knight d2. Knight e4, knight d2. I mean, I'm actually playing knight d2 vast majority of the time here. Anything else looks pretty lame. If he plays f5, f3. I never have c4 because of knight to b4, unfortunately. I need an extra move to play like rook b1 first, and then c4. Guys, I'm streaming for like another half an hour, so you think rook e8 is an inaccuracy? You like bishop a6, knight a5. Well, I mean, knight a5 is definitely an idea. And the blockading of c4 is a strategy for sure. But I don't think that rook e8 is a pretty natural move as well. Is there any argument for queen takes here? Probably not. So we go for the Nimzo. Classical Nimzo. Not classical Nimzo, but it is on c2. You know, like a Rubinstein Nimzo, basically. Now we are prepared for the classic expansion with the central preponderance of pawns. I don't really like c6. He should probably try, you know, like Malik was recommending, some kind of b6 maybe, I don't know. But it's already like bad for black, this position. I'm coming up with a very, very strong king side attack here with e4, and black has to act fast or it's going to get out of hand extremely fast. I mean, rook e8 is a principled move, but it may not be the best. You know, that's how I would basically, you know, describe it. It may turn out to be sort of tactically not the best, or not the most active. e5. This is actually not that easy for me. Do I want to play a3? He doesn't have the blockade plan of f5. Which is key. You know, if he could play f5 and blockade the king side, then it's really hard. But as it stands now, I'm threatening f4, f5, f6 resigns. Taught Ervin style. Taught Ervin is an international master from Hungary. He's an f3 Nimzo guy, and I've seen him so many times just take people out with this pawn structure. But my pieces are ideally set up here. You know, black's too slow. Maybe I should prepare the next move. Because he has queen h4, that could be mildly annoying. Interfering with all my wonderful plans on the king side. This is a good transfer anyway. Queen g3 with mating threats. Everything pointing at the black king. It's classical 50s era. It's like Smyslav, Polugievsky. Who else? Spassky would play this way with white. The nice thing about Spassky was that he played both e4 and d4. I mean, you really have to. You have to really respect Spassky's attacking play in that perspective. Okay, well, this is kind of shutting me up for a little while. Okay, there have been a handful of world champion quality players who played a lot of e4 and d4. Curious. Alyakin, who played e4 in his early career. Wow, h5 is just craziness. That's a funny way to defend the h6. But what's the best here? Seriously. Bishop h6. I mean, you could play e6 and be winning, I guess. Maybe that's the most safe and concrete win for white without any kind of complications, or at least minimum complications. But it's probably not the most beautiful. I'm going to try to checkmate him, I guess. Rook f4. Rook f3, rook h3. He can put up some resistance with crazy g6 or something. He resigned. Maybe it's better to play rook f4 here. It should be lost, but it's still not forced mate. Alright, I'm going to play VBN, and then we'll see if we have time for another game or not, depending on this. If it's a short game, if it's a long game, this will be the last one for today. If there's a short game, I'll try to play one more. If VBN is here. Yeah, I mean, e6 was the safest approach. Like, I have to be winning in that position with a protected pass pawn on e6, and almost guaranteed to win his h5 pawn. But I don't know why he played. I mean, h5 was a kind of weird move. Black's probably lost, but it would be better just to, like, maybe move the king or something. Looks like VBN may be not with us. We'll give him like 40 seconds, and if not, I'll start a different game. Tushar, well, it's very standard, you know. Straight out of, there it is, e4, straight out of Uwe's middle game strategy book. The middle game. Pawn preponderance in the center. Okay, let's try the Caro-Kann. I haven't played that in a while. Plays knight f3. Then this. Robert J. played that at the Mineral Bath here in Budapest. He recommended pawn takes pawn and knight e5, but it's really nothing. I saw a game like that recently. Wait, somebody played that Fischer variation in a different move order at Tata. I don't remember who it was. I guess I've played bishop g4 here quite a bit. Not really considered an accurate move order for white. Anyway, Fischer recommended knight e5 in this position. But objectively, I mean, black should be equal. And then this position, yeah, I can take or play bishop h5. I've tried both, but I think it's probably more correct not to take. I played a lot of games like this, and some of my students have had games like this and sent them to me, you know, for analysis. It's basically a reversed Queen's Gambit exchange variation. White isn't worse, really. It's pretty unambitious. I've even seen a few games in the database by, like, let's say, weaker grandmasters who were trying to be ultra cautious against maybe stronger players. But for the most part, I mean, people who are strong players don't play this kind of modest setup with white. You do see the odd guy trying to draw, like the odd 2500 trying to draw, like against the 2700 or something. Okay, 95 is a playable move now. Just looking for random tactics. So he simplifies a lot. We have the center again, like last game, but with a lot more simplification than last game. My central majority maybe doesn't have as much, you know, potential really. If I play b takes c, queen takes e2, black is at least equal, maybe even a tiny bit better, but there are 2 pieces traded off the board, so it's pretty hard to win. Bishop takes d1, knight takes d8, and my b7 pawn is hanging. That's not good. Looks like I can play it as some sort of pawn sacrifice for the 2 bishops, but I don't think that's realistic. So, looks like we just have to the question is to trade queens or not to trade queens, essentially. Bishop takes d1, knight takes d8, rook takes d8, king takes d1. I don't think that it's a big deal for him to lose his right to castle with the queens and 2 minor pieces traded off. So let's just I don't know, but on the other hand, it's like the safest way for black to equalize. So if I was playing a strong player, I'd probably just play bishop takes d1 and offer a draw. If I was playing like anybody who was higher rated than me, let's say, you know. But here, my obligation is to try to play for a win, I guess. I shouldn't necessarily trade all the queens and everything. I would evaluate this as absolutely equal. Structurally, black has a slight advantage, but I don't think it's a big deal. Because I have 1 pawn island. Well, the bigger pawn island. I have another pawn island over here. Okay, it doesn't look like an island, but it is. I have 2 pawn islands. He has 2 pawn islands, but I have the bigger island. This island here. You know, these are very low maintenance, and I never have to worry about my pawns getting broken. And maybe he can play f4, f5, but that's hard to realize for white. It's easier for me to do something like c5, breaking. My a pawn isn't that easy to attack, so it's not like a classic isolated pawn in a sense. Maybe take on c6 and play c5. Well, yeah, I mean, that's exactly what I'm saying, essentially. This is kind of a crazy move. At least on paper, it looks like a crazy move. It may not be that bad, though. Now, I don't know anything about this guy. He's 1700 in bullet and 1600 in blitz. I like that h4 is aggressive. It's a strange move if you consider his previous play, where it looks like he's like trading pieces. He offered a trade of queens last move. Now he's like attacking me or something with h4. It seems a bit random, but I think in actuality, in this exact position, it may not be so bad. He has some rook h3 ideas. I'm going to play this kind of Caro Kann style. I don't like him getting this big space advantage. And this way I can put his pawn on the dark square. And I don't, I don't like him playing h5, getting a big cramping space advantage. Unfortunately, I can't play f6. This looks like a good move. Bishop g5. Again, really outside the box type of play by white. This isn't really where I wanted to go. I would prefer queen b8. I could also play knight e7. Maybe knight e7. I mean, I'm letting him trade his bad bishop for my knight, but I still have a slightly better endgame with good bishop versus knight in a closed position. I'm a very little bit better, I think, in that endgame. But this is extremely creative play by white, and not necessarily bad. But again, like, pretty weird and inconsistent, you know? Like, 1 minute he's offering a trade of queens, and the next minute he's playing like it's an advanced Caro-Kann, trying to hack me to pieces, you know? I have faith in black's position. I mean, I have, once again, like last game, this very strong shield, basically. You can call it. It's a kind of classic Caro-Kann, Karpov strategy to play f6 and put the king on f7 in advanced Caro-Kann type of positions. If you go back to the late 80s, early 90s, you can find some Karpov games where you saw how he would handle the black side of the advanced Caro-Kann. Many instances putting his king on f7, judging that it's relatively safe. I mean, the rook, I played h5, you know, so I can't castle traditionally on the king side. And this is the kind of position where Karpov would do that. Okay, this is not sound for white. He's sacrificing a piece, but it's just total speculation. I basically judge this position like queen d7, queen takes f6, castles queen side as clearly better for black. But I'm now gonna like look, you know, to see if maybe we can even be greedy and not even give him the f6 pawn. Because in the case when he gets the f6 pawn, he's now got 3 pawns for a piece. I still think that black is clearly better, but I'm hoping that we could even keep that pawn. So rook h6 followed by basically rook h6 followed by queen d7. Rook h6, queen e3, rook g6, queen f3. It's going to be hard to hold the pawn in any case. So I'm probably better off just giving that third pawn up and just playing chess here. But I think that black is better, you know, without a doubt. I mean, you've got 3 pawns for a piece, but your king is not really as safe as mine. And you're also not as well developed. Black is fully developed. Like, all of my pieces are ready to go. If you play castles queenside, it's probably your best chance, although the white queen is very nearly trapped here, and if you castle queenside, you're probably dropping a pawn on f2 or g2. I think that white is in trouble. The black king is safer than the white king here. Knight f3, rook f8. Materially okay for white, and an endgame would be fine. Well, I have rook f8 and just take on rook f8 and take. Rook f8, which rook f8? Rook df8, queen g7, rook g8, queen h6, rook takes f2. I guess they're both good. This is clearly better for black. Nikolai Pavlov. Why do you prefer rook h6 over rook f8? Well, I was talking about when my king was on e8. That was a different period. Different period in time. I don't really like putting my rook on h6 ever. It's like, just if I was going to protect my pawn on f6 when I wasn't castled yet. It's not like a well-coordinated thing. I think now we should be in really good shape here. Rook takes f2. I've got bishop f4, and we're just taking on g2. Now we've got this crushing attack on the 7th rank. Black's just fully mobilized, and the white king is unsafe. I'm threatening queen f5, which is game over. There's no way he can protect. Maybe I'll play one last 5+3 game before we finish the stream, guys. Now he's actually pinned to the knight. He did stop queen f5 though, so maybe that was a good defense. But he blundered. I mean, here I'm not. Well, I guess I'm just going to take everything on the 7th rank. He can play rook d2, I suppose. But he's just blundered. Plus, I have just checking and taking all of his stuff. There's no mate immediately, so I'll take the queen. Guys, last game, I'm going to play this guy, Hebebom. 5+3, casual, no rated games, Schnotty. Not while I'm streaming. I don't mind if you guys want to play sometime off stream while I'm not describing the game and stuff like that. Bishop f4 check. Yeah, there was too many problems. But I think he was never really okay. Last game, guys. I'll be back tomorrow night. We're going to do a viewer tournament, Chess 960, tomorrow night, here on lichess. Yeah, this is a line. That's a sharp variation. I don't know what I play against this. Well, I guess we can play c5. Try to play it like an Averbach. Against bishop g5, c5 is usually, you know, the better way to play. Here I can play b5, maybe Benko style. Just for fun, but I'm not sure how good it is. Actually, queen a5, queen d2. Though e6 looks more normal. And this looks to me thematic Benoni type of thing. We could actually transpose to an Averbach type of position. Just his bishop is on f1. I think usually they play e takes d in the Averbach type Benonis. Right, okay, this makes sense. This guy's used 5 seconds. He's supposed to be 1400. What? God, it's not rated. He's played like perfectly. I'm not sure this is even good for me. I might have made an inaccuracy. Play c4. I think I made a mistake. This looks like just better for white. Theoretical position now that's just better for white. I've been tricked. Yeah, this is bad. I don't know which move I played was bad. But no, not if he goes back to e3. I have to find a different move order. h6 isn't good. So knight f3. Yeah, I guess here I have to finesse the move order. I should have played rook e8 before playing e takes d, I guess. Then it's not so bad for me. It's a very subtle point. But his a5 might be a mistake. c4 doesn't look good, does it? c4. Bishop c2. Yeah, I have to break now. I mean, he didn't have to give me this. He could have just played castles with the good game, or even queen d2. But at least after a5, I have some kind of counterplay, which I wouldn't have had any counterplay without that move. So still, white is probably better here. I'm not going to argue that he's not better, even after a5, which seems unnecessary. I played similar positions with white. But this is pretty excellent opening play for a 1400 on lichess. He must be really an aficionado of opening theory. Queen c1 is a nice subtle move, double attacking, but it seems more natural to put the queen on d2. He keeps his knight for d2 though. Maybe that's this very deep idea behind queen c1. I don't know. We're having a little trouble because our knights are redundant, and that's not something you want to do normally in the Benoni. This is a classic bad situation for me. That's why I should have played rook e8 instead of h6 ed. But it's the last game, 5-3. I didn't really expect this guy to be so strong in the opening. So I was kind of like, okay, no big deal, you know. He's just a 1400 lichess player. I mean, 1400 lichess is like 1300 FIDE. Though he's 1593 in classical. So let's say he's really 1500 FIDE. Still, his understanding of the opening is excellent. White is better. Maybe just rook a2. You know, there's nothing wrong with rook a2. It's just a slightly passive square, but it's a standard move. There's no need for anything else here. I like a2 better than b1. More active. Well, I'm basically running out of time. a5, just trying to trade some pieces off with bishop a6, I guess. It's not anything more than that. Now I have knight e5. And we're going to play this next. Except for the fact that he has bishop b5. When I have to play, I guess, bishop d7. But at least we're a little better off than we were out of the opening. Yeah, bishop b5, bishop a6, bishop takes e8. I don't think I have enough there. Maybe knight f takes. Putting up my bishop on g7. This guy's strong for his rating. But I'm hanging on. And it looks like black's pretty active here. Queen d1. Knight takes b2. Looks kind of dangerous, but it could just be good because his knight is hanging in a lot of lines on c3. Queen c2, queen a6, or knight b4. Knight b4 is a really good square for me. And I guess I'm probably threatening f5, but it depends just a little bit on where his queen is. So queen a6, stops knight c4. But now he has time for things like maybe f5. Knight b4 was more immediate. But I was going to get hit by knight c4 in the future anyway, so chances are, yeah, this guy is not 1400. He's too good to be 1400, no doubt. f4 is a really, f5 is a really, really good move. It's just anybody's game here. I don't know, you know. He's got this f5 wedge. Now I don't have f5 counterplay. I'm not sure who's better, to be honest. It's probably close. White space on the king side seems pretty dangerous, but I do have stuff with knight b4, maybe queen d3, but I'm not confident that black is better. f6, bishop f8 isn't that bad. I'm not really sure. I almost have tactics, but I don't quite see it working. So I don't want his rook showing up on the 7th rank. Look at this, queen c1, man, he's trying to kill me. Rook b7, just a purely defensive move. Defending my 7th rank. We're like 10 minutes over schedule, which I was afraid of here, but that's life. f6 just shutting me down. But he seems more like 2000 than 1400, to be perfectly honest. Now maybe finally he's starting to creak. Still not convinced. My bishop is paralyzed on f8. See, he lost the h3 pawn though. I've got really bad lag. That's an excellent game. He just blundered at the end. It looks like after king g2, it's unclear. Maybe I'm starting to get something. I don't know. Alright, man, I don't know. That's a hell of a 1400. We'll be back tomorrow night with the Chess 960 viewer tournament here on lichess. International Master William Pascal, thanks for joining me today. And again, thanks for supporting the stream by subscribing on Twitch. Also, for any donations, you can donate via PayPal, both here on my YouTube channel, Video Chess Training on YouTube. But anyway, 6:30 p.m. CET tomorrow night, we're going to have my first ever Chess 960 viewer tournament. Usually I play normal chess, but for fun, we're going to mix it up with Chess 960, like a 2-hour tournament tomorrow night from 6:30 to, no, 7 p.m. I'm sorry, I said 6:30. Let me correct myself. 7 p.m. tomorrow night, Tuesday night, Central European time, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Viewer tournament here on lichess, playing Chess 960. So I'll see you guys then. Thanks for subscribing, and I will see you Tuesday night. Bye-bye.